everyone and welcome back. This is Dr. Gitanjali Parekh and in continuation with our topic that is on anxiety disorders, and we were talking about different anxiety disorders. Today we are going to talk about specific phobias. What are specific phobias and everything in detail. But before you go ahead, if you like my channel, do subscribe to it, like it and share it. Fine. So let's start with it. So what is specific phobia? So the term phobia, as you all know, refers to the excessive fear of a specific object or a circumstances or a situation. Now, diagnosis for the specific phobia requires the development of intense fear to the level of being panicky about it, and when the person is exposed to a feared object. So if you are fearful of something and you feel panicky on seeing that thing or thinking about it, then you might be having specific phobia. The person with specific phobia anticipate harm, such as being like if you're seeing a dog coming from there, you might feel that it might bite you. Right? Similarly, in the elevator. So it is not only in the elevator the person feels that might lose control or something, but they feel that once they are inside, they might faint or something wrong might happen with them. Example of a specific phobia is it was actually my first case when I was just studying about phobias. It was a person was having a erythrophobia. Erythrophobia means the person was fearful of seeing any red object lying on the ground, that is on the street or the road, etc. So whenever he used to see that red object lying there, he used to get scared there, stand there and recite Hanuman Chalisa there. In due course of time, what used to happen was he used to get, so the education is fine, but when he went to the office or he used to reach office late, and because of that reason many times he used to get scolds from his bosses. So it was not only impacting his personal life, but also his professional life as such. And he wanted to get rid of that thing up, that's why he came to us. The main thing was that though he tried many ways to over it or to get out of it, he was not able to do so. Now if we talk about the epidemiology regarding the specific phobias, then the 12-month prevalence rate for the specific phobia in United States is between 7 to 9%, and similarly in European countries it is 6%. However, in Asian and African countries or Latin America, and the range is between 2 to 4%. Regarding the prevalence rate in the children, it is approximately 5%, and while that in adolescent it is 16%. The prevalence rates in early adults it is around 3 to 5%. So as the age increases, it definitely decreases. And as compared to females, between the male and the females are more affected by the specific phobias than the male, and the ratio is between 2:1. However, the range differs from phobias to phobias. The females, they are more phobic about the animal or the natural environment and the situational phobias. However, when we take regard to the blood injection or injury type of phobias, it is similar. Both male and female, they are equated. The peak age of onset for the natural environment type phobia or the blood injection injury type of phobia, that is between the age of 5 to 9 years. Mostly during that time, most of the immunization occurs and the extended, so that is the reason. And although the onset also occurs at the older ages also, because people get more ill, and so because of that as well. So in contrast to the peak age of the onset for the situational type, it is mostly, except the fear of heights, it is mostly mid-20s, which corresponds to that of the agoraphobia. So the feared objects and the situations in specific phobias in the descending orders would be like animals, storms, height, illnesses, injury and death. Now if you talk about the comorbidity, then we can say so that the specific phobias, they are comorbid with other mental illnesses in the percentage of 50 to 80%, and mostly it is with the anxiety and the mood disorders, mostly it says bipolar and substance related disorders, because the people, they want to get rid of their fears or the phobias, so mostly they use alcohols for this. Regarding the etiology for the specific phobias, so there are certain general principles of phobias, and first is a behavioral factor. In 1920s, it was J.B. Watson. He had quoted in one of his article called Conditioned Emotional Reactions, in which he had quoted his experience with the little Albert. Now, if you remember the little Albert, Watson and his other psychologists, through their experiments, have induced fear in little Albert for various for rats and rabbits. He was quite dissimilar with the little Hans of the Freud side, where the child has developed the fear of horses as a matter of fact of growing up. So there was a difference between it, and Watson hypothesizes the traditional Pavlovian stimulus response model to account for the creations of phobia. Now, according to that operant conditioning, if you just remember, it said that anxiety is a drive that motivates an organism to do whatever it can do to avoid a painful situation. So that little Albert, he wanted to avoid himself, so he cried and screamed and things like that. In the time the person learns that this is the way the person can avoid certain specific situations or the feared object, and he continues it, or it forms a part and parcel of his behavior. Freud, or you can say the psychoanalytic factors, when we talk about it, is mostly proposed by Freud. So the Freud, he said that the major function of the anxiety is to signal the ego that the or the forbidden unconscious impulses, drives are trying to express themselves. So it signals them that okay, you take the command and you now just so in that course, the Freud, what he used to call was phobia, anxiety, hysteria. He used to refer specific phobias for this reason. That's the name he has given. That most of the unresolved childhood or different situations, they are responsible for that. So according to Freud, when the impulses are not able to express themselves, they change the direction. That is, they displace from this anxiety-provoking situation form, they displace anxiety situation to some other things. And most of the Freudian people who just believe, they said that yes, it is not only the signal anxiety, which the Freud had referred to as, or the castration anxiety, or you can just find in agoraphobia, it is the separation in anxiety, which clearly plays a leading role. Similarly, in the erythrophobia, it is the superego anxiety. So it is not only, they said that it is not only the audible concept or signal anxiety which is responsible, there are other types of anxieties which also plays a definite role. The next is the genetic factors. Now, the specific phobias tend to run in the families. For example, you must have seen the person, if the mother is full of the blood injection type of, or she has a blood injection type of phobia, the child might also have the same thing. So, studies have reported that nearly 2/3 to 3/4 of the affected people, they have at least one first degree relative who has a specific phobia at the same time. So as far as the diagnosis is concerned, so according to DSM-5, it has 5 distinctive types of specific phobias. First is your animal type, second is your natural environment type, and that comes the storms, etc. The third is the blood injection injury type, that is the needles and etc. Fourth is the situational type, for example in cars, elevators, planes, etc. And fifth is the other type, where these phobias, they do not come in place, they are being placed under the fifth category. So as far as the diagnosis is concerned, so according to DSM-5, it has 5 distinctive types of specific phobias. First is your animal type, second is your natural environment type, and that comes the storms, etc. The third is the blood injection injury type, that is the needles and etc. Fourth is the situational type, for example in cars, elevators, planes, etc. And fifth is the other type, where these phobias, they do not come in place, they are being placed under the fifth category. The key feature of each of these phobias is that the fear symptom occur only in the presence of specific object, but it is only in the blood injection injury type, which is being differentiated from the other phobias, in which the tachycardia is followed by bradycardia and hypertension. However, in other cases, tachycardia, that is increased heart rate, is there, but it's only in this that it's the bradycardia and the hypertension. Recently, One more type of phobia has been reported, and that is the space phobia, in which the person has a fear of falling when there is no nearby support, like a wall or a chair, and the person is standing there, so they imagine. Now, some of the data shows that these people, they definitely have certain abnormality or just in the right hemisphere. So it might be possibility because they have the visual spatial impairment. Balance disorder, they should be also be ruled out. One thing you must have observed is that in most of all these phobias, they are named or they have the prefixes which is Greek or Latin. For example, in agoraphobia, fear of marketplaces. Fine. For acrophobia, that is fear of heights. Cynophobia, fear of dogs. Parophobia, fear of fires, etc. Right? So now we go on to the clinical features. What are the clinical features regarding the phobias is concerned? The phobias are characterized by, as I have told you earlier, is by severe arousal of anxiety. Now, when the patient is either exposed to the situation or been asked to anticipate exposure to the specific object or the situation. So, exposure to the phobic stimulus or anticipation about it, it creates something that results like panic attack in the person who is susceptible to them. Now, the person with phobia, they definitely try to avoid all these situations up, and they think of the ways out how they can just keep themselves a distance away or away from all these situations. And because of this, these people, as I've told you earlier also, they turn to substance related disorders, particularly the alcohol use disorder. So now we go back to the diagnostic criteria according to the DSM-5. The first is that there is a marked fear or anxiety about a specific object or a situation. For example, it might be flying, heights, animals, receiving injections, seeing blood, etc. Now you must note one thing, and that is in children, the fear or the anxiety may be expressed in the form of crying, temper tantrums, freezing, or clinging. The next or the B part is the phobic object or situation almost always provokes immediate fear or anxiety. It is not that it takes some time to overturn it, but the response is immediate. C. The phobic object or situation is actively avoided or endured with intense fear or anxiety. And D. The fear of anxiety is out of proportion to the actual danger imposed by the specific object or situation and the socio-cultural context. So the fear might be means the people just aggravate the situation, but it might not be as fearful. For example, being bitten by a dog. The dog is so far away and the person feels panicky or something. So that situation, they ask corresponding. Okay, if there is a snake and it's very close by and it's about to sting, and then you can say, so could they find that it's something fearful. And E, the fear or anxiety or avoidance is persistent, typically lasting for 6 months. Whatever the fear or anxiety or avoidance the person has causes clinically significant distress or impairment in not only in the social or occupational or the other areas of the function of an individual. The disturbance is not better explained by the symptoms of another mental disorder, like including like the fear or anxiety. You cannot just like it as being panic disorder. No, it's not panic disorder. So you have to just see to it all that thing through MSc, and it's not just because of the panic disorder or OCD, or you can say the PTSD or the social anxiety or the separation anxiety disorder. It is not just because of that. So you have to go through the MSc, see to it, and then you have to define that this is a specific. As far as the specifiers are considered, now it has been found it's very common. In 75% of the people it is there. The person who has one specific disorder might have addition to 2 or 3 specific disorders. So mostly it is that the person who has a specific disorder mostly has a 3 specific disorder, might be afraid of 3 different things. For example, the person might be afraid of thunderstorms and flying. Fine. So if the person comes with you, for example, if the person comes with the thunderstorm and flying, then you have to give 2 diagnoses: specific phobia for natural and specific disorder situational. Now we go on to the differential diagnosis. In the differential diagnosis for specific phobias, clinicians must consider panic disorder, agoraphobia, and avoidant personality disorder. They must see to it that the person does not come under these categories, and the person should just have a specific disorder of it. Similarly, they should also give consideration to hypochondrosis, OCD, and paranoid personality disorder. Now, regarding the course and the prognosis is concerned, so under this we will first about the development and course. So the development and course, it is bimodal. So they exhibits in a bimodal age of onset, and that is during the childhood. The peak is for the animal phobia, natural environment phobia, and the blood injection injury type of phobia. However, in early adulthood, it is mostly with the situation phobia. That's more common. Then the specific phobias is sometimes develop resulting because of some traumatic event, like being attacked by an animal or stuck in an elevator or something. Or it could be that people are observation of others going through, like you're observing someone and then you're seeing them going through a traumatic event, and so you also develop, like watching someone drown. Fine. So you just develop a fear for swimming. Then similarly, an unexpected panic attacks happens in some place, like in the subway or metro, etc. Fine. So it could be that. Then there in information transmission, mostly the news agencies, they play or the media coverage of certain plane crash or something. So however, many individuals with specific phobias are unable to recall the main reason for the specific for the onset of this particular phobia. Now, risk and prognostic factors. So we have around 3-4 risk factors. First is the temperamental. So in this we have is that the person has a negative affectivity or neuroticism or the behavioral innovation. These people, they have more tendency of having specific phobias. Then the environmental risk factors, they account for the parental overprotectiveness, parental loss or separation, is the physical or sexual abuse has been there. So you must have noted that negative or the traumatic encounters with the feared object or the situation. So the third is genetic factors, genetic, or we can just combine genetic and physiological. So they are, you must have seen that some people, they are more susceptible to certain types of specific phobias. For example, individuals with blood injection injury phobia show a unique propensity for vasovagal syncope, that is fainting, in the presence of phobic stimulus. So how we will cover is the functional consequences of specific phobia. So like in any other anxiety disorders, in same is the case with the specific phobias, that it also affects the quality of life and its functioning. The person, like they are not able to, the older people, they are not able to give the volunteer duties or the caregiving duties as such as those who. So they have a lower quality of life, and because individual always have the fear of the object or the situation, so they are not able to play their occupational or the social roles properly, and because of that the personal life is also being disturbed. So the last we come to the treatment part. So in the treatment part there are various therapies associated with, and the most popularly as being used is the behavior therapy formulas. And in this behavior therapy, there are two therapies which are being used very popularly, which we would be discussing later also, and when we were talking about the various therapies, and that is the systematic desensitization and the flooding. The next is our insight-oriented psychotherapies, and in insight-oriented patients are asked to understand or made to understand the origin of the phobia, why they suffer, what's the secondary gain they are having it, and how they can, what are all resistance they are showing it, and how they can deal with it. Then there is recently they found there is a virtual therapy is also. Instead of putting the person in the actual position, though on the computer screen the person is exposed or asked to interact with the feared object, and to how one can deal with it more successfully. The other therapeutic modalities you can say is the hypnosis, supportive therapy, and the family therapy. So they are also very useful. In hypnosis, the person is being asked, being told that through this suggestions are being made to the person that this phobic situation is not as dangerous as the person thinks about it. Fine. And so whenever, and we at the various relaxation techniques, so that whenever he encounters that thing, the person relaxes himself and gives himself feedback that this is not as dangerous as the person he uses thinks about it. Supportive and psychotherapy, and you can say so, the family therapy, it's useful in that the patient actively confronts the phobic situation, then how the parents or the family is supposed to support it. So it's very helpful. It's mostly the common treatment of specific phobia is exposure therapy. So in this method, the therapist, they desensitize the patient by using a series of gradual self-paced exposures and being asked to deal with them. Cognitive behavior therapy is again there. In this, the person, all the negative ideas or the belief system the person has in this, they are being asked to remove that or to substitute with the much more better. Now lastly, regarding the pharmacotherapy is concerned, pharmacotherapy, benzodiazepines are given as in other generalized disorders to release or to relax the person. But mostly it's been found that psychotherapy and then pharmacotherapy, when they go hand in hand, the results are very good. So that was all about the specific phobias. So in case you feel interested about it and going through more in detail, I have given the link on my blog also. You can just go and read it there. And if you like this channel, please do like it, subscribe it and share with it. And let's meet with other topics in future. Thank you.